Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day to you, and welcome to Bayou Sports Talk here down in the Bayou of Louisiana, baby. So let's holler at everybody. I'm Kay, your narrator. Holler at them, Ray.
What's up, y'all? Raymond, the youngest of the bunch, here to give my inputs and takes on the topics we talk about today.
All right, Coach. Holler at them, Coach.
It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den Boston community. Shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Y'all sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, they.
All right, all right. And we probably will have Rue coming in a little later, but for now, we're just missing Rue and shout out to him as well. So let's go ahead and dive in to our topics. We have some great topics right before you, fam. So if you see, something that you like and you want us to talk about it, please put it in the comment section below. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about the black athletes, how ESPN has been going off on them. Tell me what's your thoughts, Coach.
Well, this is my thoughts on this particular topic. When it comes to old media, that means any major networks, there's a ridiculous double standard when it comes to black athletes and non-black athletes. What I mean by that is whenever they cover an athlete, if it's a non-black athlete, they wait until all the information is out before they even acknowledge a report on that particular athlete. However, when it's a black athlete, they demonize that particular individual. Now, for those individuals that don't know, Josh Giddey is a player for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's essentially like a point forward for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I really didn't know him until OKC played against the New Orleans Pelicans last year in the play-in tournament. And they played the Pelicans, and he had a huge game. Well, Josh Giddey is from Australia, and he has allegedly been having an inappropriate relationship with a 15-year-old young lady. Now, Kwame Brown and Dez Bryant were the first two former athletes to bring it up. Kwame Brown, of course, played in the NBA. Dez Bryant played wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. Those were the first two individuals to bring it up. The individuals that are synonymous for putting down black athletes and demonizing them on ESPN, of course, Malika Andrews, she's mixed. Stephen A. Smith, he's a black male himself. So basically, Kwame Brown and Dez Bryant, Dez Bryant was real. He was pressing Malika Andrews like, okay, why are you not addressing this Josh Giddey situation? And of course, ESPN, they said nothing about it. And Kwame Brown, basically, he talked about it. He was the first one to really kind of bring light to the situation. And he essentially, ESPN has been using this practice for so long. He knew step by step their entire playbook. So basically what he was saying is, whenever a white athlete does something, this is what they're going to do, step by step. He said, first and foremost, they're not even going to acknowledge the incident. They're going to act like it didn't even happen. So they did that first. He said, secondly, they're going to acknowledge what transpired. However, they're not going to cover it. So that was the second thing they did. And lastly, he said, after that, they're gonna have one prominent black pundit. In this particular instance, it was Stephen A. Smith, to kind of address the situation and just kind of to keep the black people calm and like divert attention away from it. And in this particular instance, Dez Bryant was really pressing Malika Andrews because she's a black male misandrist. Essentially, she has this in her reporting she has this hate for black athletes. So Des Bryant was pressing her, and essentially Stephen A. Smith came to her defense, even though, when it was the Ime Udoka situation with the Boston Celtics last year, basically she tried to come on Stephen A. Smith's show and check him. Of course, she apologized from what I understand behind the scenes. But either way, anytime it's a black athlete, she's synonymous for going in. And of course, we can list countless number of athletes, whether it's Floyd Mayweather Jr., whether it's Tank Davis. Draft night, she essentially urinated on Brandon Miller, who's drafted by the Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets. She urinated on his biggest day, and she brought it up during the draft. Whereas, they talk about a long list of white athletes who had incidents comparable to Josh Giddey, or even like domestic incidents, whether it was UFC president CEO Dana White, whether it was Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it was kicker Josh Brown for the Buffalo Bills, Chad Wheeler, defensive lineman who savagely beat up his black girlfriend. So ESPN has a long history of, when it comes to white athletes, not even acknowledging the situation. However, when it comes to black athletes, they demonize the situation. So basically, when it came to the Josh Giddey situation, they didn't acknowledge it initially. After Des Bryant pressed ESPN and Malika Andrews, she read from a teleprompter, and they showed her reporting on Ime Udoka's situation, and she didn't give it the same type of energy nor aggression that she gave. She didn't give the Josh Giddey situation the same type of energy nor aggression that she gave the Ime Udoka situation. And lastly, they kind of half-heartedly acknowledging, and Stephen A. Smith came to her defense. So lo and behold, a few days later, Von Miller had an incident where he had a domestic incident with his pregnant girlfriend. So First Take, literally, they stopped what they were doing to report on this Von Miller situation, outside linebacker for the Buffalo Bills. And, the thing that Stephen A. Smith used was ESPN as a network didn't want to be sued by Josh Giddey for not essentially giving him due process. You give Josh Giddey due process to make sure everything is out, you have all the facts, so on and so forth. However, when it came to Von Miller, they weren't worried about being sued then. Essentially, they pretty much, in the Von Miller situation, he was guilty till proven innocent. Whereas with Josh Giddey, he innocent until proven guilty. Josh Giddey didn't acknowledge the situation. The head coach for the Oklahoma City, basically they had no comment. Oklahoma City had no comment. Josh Giddey had no comment. So basically, for all intents and purposes, basically it was a situation where the double standard is obvious. I'm disgusted by it. They even showed when athletes have died, Malika Andrews still had the audacity to kind of defecate on those individuals in their passing. Whether it was Kobe Bryant, whether it was Adrian Payne, who was, killed. I forgot, YouTube is real sensitive. When he was deleted, she brought up couple incidents he had when he was a 19-year-old, even though, it had been over 10 years ago and nothing came of it. She brought up Brandon Miller situation on draft day. So ESPN has this disgusting practice. And, there's this saying where I'm from, all money is not good money. I don't care if ESPN is paying you hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Essentially, all money is not good money. If I have to put my people down because, I'm unapologetically black or whatever the case may be, I don't think it's worth, you putting down black athletes or putting down black people in general while you not even acknowledge or you exalt and elevate non-black athletes. So that's my take on the situation. I mean, I was so disgusted by the situation yesterday morning. I canceled my ESPN app. And essentially, if there's some kind of sporting event I want to see on ESPN, I'll stream it from another source. But I refuse to give ESPN any of my money. I will not support ESPN in any kind of way. And for my instance, I'm taking a hard line in the stand when it comes to ESPN. And, Kate brought this up yesterday when we were talking behind the scenes. It's not just ESPN, it's old media in general, all like major platforms when it comes to sports or just news coverage in general. But ESPN supposedly is the leader in worldwide sports, and they have this hypocrisy and this disgusting double standard where they give white athletes the benefit of the doubt, whereas they demonize black athletes, and I'm sick of it.
Okay, Ray, what are your thoughts?
I don't got much to say about it. Me, I'm gonna keep my ESPN subscription. I'm gonna continue to watch ESPN. Um, like I mean, it's kind of no matter what you do, you're gonna end up having to watch ESPN regardless. It's like people who boycott stores. It's like you could boycott Walmart if you want to. You're gonna eventually have to go back to Walmart. But it's like, I mean, do they report on black athletes differently? I guess so, but it's like me personally, I really don't care. And it's not because I don't care about black people, but it's just it gets to the point where it's like you learn about the civil rights movement in school, and like you look at this and it's like this stuff compared to the civil rights movement is petty. So it's like, why even stress about something like this? Like who gives a freak about Malika Andrews? Like I could give a crap who she reports on, how she reports about them. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of the cases, like athlete don't gotta like her. Athlete don't have to, like, I've seen the instance where Giannis didn't even want to take questions from her, and that was way before. That was when she was just writing articles, and I never knew why Giannis did that to her, but apparently why. But it's like when it comes to stuff like that, I really don't pay no mind, and I don't care about it anymore. So it's like the reason why I say I don't care about it, because once I get to a certain point, like I just become nonchalant to something rather than making something irk me. I rather just become nonchalant. Um, so I mean, yeah, I really don't have too much to say about it, and I really don't care how they report on athletes. Not saying that I don't care about the athletes at all, but it's like I don't let that stupid stuff just get to me. It's like, who cares?
And one last word on it, K. I'm not saying individuals should take my stance or my position, but to me, the hypocrisy and the double standard is ridiculous. And individuals, they could choose to do whatever they choose to do. Like in a Colin Kaepernick situation, basically, a lot of individuals have decided and they have stood on their square in terms of boycotting the NFL after his particular situation. Whereas if you look at, like I say, the Josh Giddey situation, ESPN didn't even acknowledge it, but yet somebody like Kyrie Irving, all he merely did was tweet a link. He didn't even say anything. And of course, the Hebrew Israelites had to come to his defense. But the point I'm trying to make is, when it comes to like black people globally, worldwide, we're at the bottom of the totem pole, and platforms like ESPN, they perpetuate this white supremacist mindset.
Okay, guys. So now let's jump into the NBA and the Pelicans. With the are y'all keeping up? Are y'all watching? What are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Ray.
As far as me, I do like check the scores and the stats. Unfortunately, I can't watch them whenever they play because I don't stay in that network. So it's like I can't catch them on TV and stuff like that. But whenever I do catch them, I try my best to observe and stuff like that. And I know Trey Murphy the third just came back. Um, excuse me, I had to I had to kind of had some I forgot what you call it. But yeah, excuse me. Yeah, Trey Murphy the third just came back. Hawkins, the rookie, he been balling out. And just man, when this team is at full health, bro, this team is unstoppable. It's like the bench could be starters. Like you have Jose Alvarado, you got Hawkins, the rookie, you got I said Alvarado, Trey Murphy the third. Larry Nance is hurt, but you got him coming off the bench. Those guys are essentially, if you put them on a couple of other teams, they would essentially be starters, in my opinion. And it's like, I'm pretty sure I said this before, but I feel like it's gonna get to a point where it's like, um, Willie Green could just switch up the lineup almost every other night because it's like you want to start Hurd, but I feel like Trey Murphy is going to get to that point where it's like you want to start him too. And when CJ McCollum was out, the Hawkins, the rookie, was playing pretty good. But man, when CJ came back, you seen a drastic upgrade it had for this team. It goes to show you the maturity level, the experience, and just the on-court general CJ McCollum is because like while CJ was out, BI and Zion will both put up like 25, 30 points. Like they could ball together, but it wasn't really mixing. But man, when CJ came out, it's like he knows how to put everybody in place for everybody to ball out. And man, it's just like Valanciunas has been eating based off the stats that I see. But it's like, man, CJ, man, it really shows you how valuable he is. But yeah, man, like the Pelicans, the only thing I ask for, this is the only thing, Lord God, please. I'm praying just for this one thing. Let them stay healthy. Let Zion stay healthy. BI stay healthy. CJ stay healthy. Trey Murphy stay healthy. Valanciunas stay healthy. Let all of them stay healthy. Boy, I'm telling you, them boys gonna go on a run. Ain't no play. Them boys might mess around and win the mid-end season tournament or whatever, but man, them boys on fire. They hot, like the hot boys right now.
Coach, do you agree with Ray? Do you think if they stay healthy, they could go on a run and perhaps even go to the playoffs or even win the championship?
Well, in terms of them being a championship contender, they're definitely not that at this point. I definitely disagree from the standpoint of I'm not praying for the Pelicans to stay healthy. I mean, I love the Pelicans, but at the end of the day, it's basketball. It's a worldly thing. It's not serious enough for me to pray for it. But in terms of like the Pelicans overall, I watch them as much as I could, but I have a lot going on. The last time I watched them, essentially they blew a lead against the Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz came back and beat them, and they beat them in back-to-back games. But they've won the last couple games. Them staying healthy collectively as a unit is an issue from the standpoint of it seems like every time they get a few individuals back, somebody else gets healthy. Whether it's CJ McCollum, whether it's Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, whoever, Larry Nance Jr., Jose Alvarado. So basically, I think he's right from the standpoint of that's the biggest thing that they need. They need to be able to stay healthy and whole, and that way we can see what they really are, especially as the season, which was the end of the season, if they're healthy at that particular point. Hopefully they could go on a run, they can make the playoffs, and they can continue in their progression in terms of us seeing how good a team they really are, they really could be.
Okay. So if what pieces, let me ask you guys this before we move on. What pieces do you think the Pelicans would need to become that um championship contender? Let's start with you, coach.
Well, it's difficult to see at this point because, like Raymond said, they really haven't been able to stay healthy. So it's hard to say if they were actually to make the playoffs and all of their players were healthy, then we could see how well Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum and all the other younger pieces play together. Valanciunas is a veteran guy. Jose Alvarado and Larry Nance Jr. It's kind of like the spark players off the bench. More than anything, they have a lot of good young pieces, but I think they need For my personal opinion, I think they need more of a balance between young players that can really play and contribute. I think the thing that they probably need really outside of Jonas Valanciunas and CJ McCollum is like outside of those two players, everybody else is like young players that are kind of key contributing type players, whether it's Herb Jones, whether it's Trey Murphy, whoever the case may be. So I think if they were really to make a deep run in the playoffs, first and foremost, they'd have to stay healthy. But I think at some point you need to move some of these younger players for like a veteran player that can kind of fit whatever they are lacking or whatever they're missing. So I think probably that's the biggest thing. But until they make the playoffs and everyone is healthy, it's going to be difficult to see what they really need or whatever they're lacking in that regard.
Ray, what are your thoughts? Do
I
you
mean,
see what they are missing, and or do you think it's still hard to predict?
Me personally, they're not missing anything. They've been having a full good squad for years. Is literally what I was saying before. I'm praying they stay healthy. That's literally it. If they stay
So health
healthy,
is their issue. If they would
yeah,
just stay
that's
healthy, they can be a championship team.
yes, definitely. That's literally it. Like people, why you think people was up in arms about Zion being hurt all those years? You know what I'm saying? It's really like health. Then like CJ towards the end of the year, I believe last year, CJ got hurt as well. It's just health overall. And I'm pretty sure that's what like any sport. It's with football as well. So it's always health. Health is like the main thing. So and it's not like the Pelicans are missing key players. Dude, if you got ballers coming off your bench, it's not the players. That's common sense right there. It's literally just health. Like that's it. So I'm just praying they stay healthy. I'm hoping they stay healthy. That's literally it.
Okay, well, is are there anything or any other team that you would like to comment on, guys, before we move forward? Maybe the Lakers, because we know that uh recently there has been some teams that have been losing versus the underdog. What are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Ray, real quick.
I mean, I really don't have anything to put in about other teams.
Coach.
Sam here. I'm a Pelicans fan. Don't get me wrong. I like the NBA in general, but they're the only team I really follow closely.
Okay, well, let's move on, guys. The Heisman Trophy, and uh who's the winner? Who do you think? Let's start with you, Ray.
That kid, Jaden, JD5, and it was solidified last night. I told myself if Oregon messes around and come back and win the game, like Bo Nix drives down the field and throws like the game-winning touchdown, he pretty much got it at that point. But he lost, and then he lost to the same team twice that year and to the same quarterback twice that year, which is also a Heisman candidate as well. So it's almost like him losing to Penix Jr. twice almost puts Penix Jr. in second place or over Bo Nix. And if you look at it that way, Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. stats ain't even coming close to Jaden Daniels' stats. But if you go look at the live odds for who was going to win the Heisman, is Jaden Daniels by a landslide. Before the Pac-12 game, they had Bo Nix favorite a little, but now if you go look, it's Jaden Daniels by a landslide, in which I said this, I called this from the jump. I said it from the jump. Before the season started, I predicted it. I said Jaden Daniels gonna win the Heisman Trophy. And look at it. It's just that speed, bro. Um, the way I look at Jaden Daniels, he's a Lamar Jackson 2.0. He got the speed and moves just like Lamar Jackson. And if you say he don't, you better go watch that boy highlights. This dude takes off, bro. This dude's speed got to be at least like a 97 if he was on NCAA. Um, but yeah, and he's a way more developed passer than Lamar Jackson was. A lot of people like to bring up LSU got 3 losses. Well, look, Oregon got 2 losses now. So like what can you say? So in the Heisman Trophy, it's for the best player, not the best. It's not the best team or a person on the best team. It's the best player. And Jaden Daniels is waxing the floor with the rest of those candidates. Like he's by far the most phenomenal and electrifying player in the country in college football. So it's Jaden Daniels.
Coach, what are your thoughts?
I would have to second that motion. I think Jaden Daniels is the best player in college football. I think he definitely is the front runner to win the Heisman at this point. And I'm going to even go a step further and say, hopefully, the New Orleans Saints could get him in the draft this coming season because Derek Carr is not that guy. Hopefully, they can draft him. He can sit a year, and eventually, he could be the heir apparent franchise quarterback to what Drew Brees was at one point.
Okay, guys. Let's talk about the Bayou Classic, the 2023 Bayou Classic, Grambling versus Southern, uh, the 50th year anniversary. Coach, what's your thought?
It was an excellent game. It's the first Bayou Classic I've been to. I mean, let me phrase that. It's the most exciting Bayou Classic I've been to in years. Of course, the last 2 years I missed the Bayou Classic was 92. And then after our dad passed in 05, I didn't go to that one. However, it was a electric atmosphere. Of course, Eric Dooley had been fired leading up to that game. He was fired. So Terrence Graves was the interim head coach. Legendary Southern University strong safety Sean Wallace was the active head coach. So those two led Southern into the game against Grambling. Southern played well. They started off slow. They got a turnover early in the game, but it's in typical Southern fashion. They really was not able to capitalize on the early turnover. Then again, they were able to stop Grambling. They got deep on the plus side of the field. They turned the ball over on like the 3-yard line. Grambling proceeded to go on a 97-yard drive and score a touchdown. Southern answered. Then Southern eventually went up 27-7. Grambling came back, later in the game, but Southern was able to hold them off, to get the W. For those individuals like myself that has been following Southern closely this entire season, basically that's the same Southern team that we've seen the entire season. The only difference is Eric Dooley wasn't the head coach. And in addition to that, Harold Blood wasn't the starting quarterback, but Grambling transfer Noah Barton was able to lead Southern to a win over Grambling. The ironic thing is, Coach Hugh Jackson, essentially, he cut Noah Barton. Noah Barton transferred to Southern, and he led Southern to a win over Grambling. And eventually, that ended up being Hugh Jackson's last game as the head coach for Grambling State University. So overall, it was an excellent event. I was pleased by, Southern's performance. Too bad the offense couldn't have been a little bit better. But as usual, the defense was able to, save the day for Southern. Taj Brown, he still was a little bit gimpy in that particular game. He didn't play as much as he normally plays. In addition to that, Kelby Givens, he's really starting to be a force for Southern. Many individuals think he could be like the next Jordan Lewis in terms of his impact on the defense. During the course of the season, him and Taj Brown, they definitely fed off each other. And, overall, it was an excellent event. Hopefully Southern administration and athletic director, Coach Roman Banks, they make the right decision in terms of Southern University's next head coach. But overall, it was an excellent atmosphere, electric atmosphere, and a good game. Excellent game.
Ray, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a very good and electrifying game, especially in the first half for Southern. But my biggest complaint was the second half, bro. It's like I think they had 27 at half, but they or they might have had like 20 or 20. They had something. I don't know if they scored in the second half.
No, they had it was 21-7 at halftime. When I went and used the restroom because they remodeled the restrooms in the Caesar Superdome. Kendrick Grimes, he had a long touchdown like early in the second half. But
But
outside
yeah,
that,
that's pretty much it. That's like they just had one
yeah,
score.
they had that one touchdown in the second half, and that was it. But
Right.
that's been Southern's like MO the entire season. What you saw last Saturday at the Bayou Classic, that's the way Southern has played all year. They relied heavily on their defense and special teams the entire season.
Yeah. So pretty much, yeah. That's what I was about to say. Yeah, the second half they really didn't do nothing. But that's the only complaint I had. But it was electrifying. Bayou Classic. They had the long punt return, not punt return, the block kick return. Um, they had the long run return with a dude. He did a celebration that kind of went viral on TikTok and Instagram, where he kicked down the door and he shot up the crowd. And I was literally in that end zone that he shot up. It was pretty much, I believe people were saying it was an emote that he got off of Fortnite or something like that. But
Yeah, you talking about Kendrick Grimes.
yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about the college football championships between the SWAC and how we have the SEC. And so, guys, what are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Coach. Did you watch um, uh, Prairie View versus Florida A&M? What are your thoughts?
Well, currently, since I talked about me not watching ESPN, I'm kind of streaming and kind of keeping my eye on that. At this point, FAMU is, they're winning. As they would have favored going into the game. Really, they would favor going into the season when the SWAC. So more than likely, they're probably gonna win the SWAC. It's gonna be interesting to see if they could win a Celebration Bowl. Hopefully, they could win the Celebration Bowl and finish it off because it seems as of late, like the last handful of years, the MEAC has had the SWAC number. But that's the game I'm watching the most. And of course, right now I'm kind of shocked that Alabama is doing a good job taking care of Georgia. I thought Georgia was going to easily just kind of, smack Alabama, but that's not really the case. Also, I was able to check out a little bit of Washington and Oregon. So more than anything, just kind of been keeping my eye like all across the college football in terms of who's doing what. So, we'll see who's doing what, but more than likely, I think FAMU is going to hold on to beat Prairie View. I think hopefully Georgia could come back and beat Alabama, but we'll see how things play out,
Okay, Ray, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm currently watching the Bama and Georgia game. It's Georgia in the red zone, but Georgia not gonna come back and win this game. And I'm currently watching the American Conference Championship game as well, with Tulane and SMU. I thought Tulane would easily roll over SMU as well, but it seems like Tulane is going to lose to SMU in their conference championship game. So yeah, like man, it's been some crazy college football, some upsets and stuff like that, and teams that people expected to lose are winning, and it's just adding more chaos in for the college football playoff in their committee, which something I kind of been wanting to say since they're talking about adding a 12-team playoff system that's going to take into effect next year. I feel like they ought to redo the entire college football playoff system because a 12, and I know this is not steady on the topic of college football championships like today, but I know college football championship, it ties into the college football playoffs, and I kind of want to put this idea out there. Um, so you ought to have more than enough controversy with just four teams with all these different fan bases saying, hey, if Georgia lose to Alabama today, Georgia and Alabama should both get in the college football playoffs like the past 4 or 3 years and stuff like that. And teams complain about two SEC teams being in there and which teams deserve to be in there, a one-loss team over an undefeated team, and this, that, and the third. And making it a 12-team playoff system is not going to make it any better because you're going to have some 10, 11, and 12 ranked teams. You might have a team that's ranked number 10 that got 3 losses over a team that's ranked 14 that only just got 1 loss, that just missed the playoffs and stuff like that. And people going to be like, hey, we only got 1 loss compared to the 10th ranked team having like 3 losses. We should be over them. My whole solution to this is the only way you should make the college football playoffs is if you win your conference, just like how the NFL does it. You only make the playoffs if you win your division. After that is whoever got the best records. So you got 11 conferences in the FCS. So out of those 11 conferences, only 11 teams should make the college football playoffs. I know I said 12 teams, but you could make it 11, or you could make it just 11, or make it 12 and have all the 11 conference championships and just one wild card a wild card team that just so happened to have like a good record and makes it in. Like whoever have the best record in the top 25 can make it, that makes it in, who's not a conference champion. So like that way people won't be complaining about too many teams from one conference is in the playoffs. It's like we only putting one team from each conference and it's the conference champion. And I feel like it gives a better playing field to the smaller schools that's in Conference USA or like the Sun Belt and stuff like that. And like to play like the bigger schools. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that formula will get rid of a lot of the controversy that's in the college football playoff system. If you don't get in, it's your team's fault. Just win the games. It's the same thing with the NFL. You don't see NFL fans complaining about, oh man, my team didn't make it into the playoffs because of a committee. The reason why the New Orleans Saints not going to make it into the playoffs is not because of a committee. The reason why the New Orleans Saints is going to not make it into the playoffs is because they didn't win the necessary games. So I feel like it should all fall on winning the necessary games. If your team does not win the conference, they shouldn't be up in tears about them not making the college football playoffs like they've been talking about for the past 2 weeks on ESPN. And like I kind of get tired of hearing it. It's like Texas should be in, Washington should be in, Alabama should be in, FSU should be in. It's like, look, bro, I'm tired of hearing all that stuff. But yeah, that's just my little idea and my low key little rant about the college football playoffs and the college
Coach,
football.
what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Ray?
I partially agree. You know, as an individual that you know has been in tournaments, I think me personally, you should always have like a certain number, whether it's 4 or 8. These off-brand numbers like 12. I'm not really a big proponent of those type of systems. Me personally, I think he's partially right in terms of, I think the conference champion should get in first. Certain, maybe the top 6 spots should be solidified by that. Then thereafter, maybe you can have like 2 wild card spots. Those would be like your 7 and 8 seed, whatever the case may be. You let those individuals that got in via wild card play against the top two seeds or whatever the case may be. And basically you have an 18 playoff. You know, of course you start with 8, then you dwindle down to 4, and then you have your national championship game at the end. To me, I think that's the best formula. I mean, you know, anytime you're dealing with people, political processes, you're always going to have some type of politics to deal with. There's always going to be a certain degree of controversy. I mean, you can add in 64 teams. You're never going to get around it because that 65th team and that 66th team, they're going to always complain about it. So you're always going to have some form of complaint. You're never going to satisfy 100% of people. So in that particular instance, my train of thinking is basically you can't satisfy everybody. So I would just go with the 18 playoff and just keep it pushing.
No, the reason why I said, so when you think about the NFL, you got 4 divisions in each conference. So it's like you don't want to have just 6 or 8 people and leave out the rest of the conferences. So they have 11 conferences in the FCS. So that means all 11 should get in. Whoever win a conference, that team should get in. And since it's an odd number, either you have a like 11 teams in just the top ranked conference. So like let's just say you have all 11 conference winners, and then you would categorize them. I guess that's where a committee will come in and categorize them, or like put them in order based on strength of schedule and their records in that instance. And then I guess like the top team will have a first week bye or whatever, and then you just let the other 10 teams play each other based off of their not ranking, based off of their seating and things like that. And the reason why I said that is because you won't have to depend on politics. Like when you look at the NFL, there's no politics in with who's making the playoffs. It's basically logic when it comes to who makes the playoffs in the NFL. Whoever wins their division, no matter what your record is, if you win your division, you in. After that, that's whoever has the best records. Then who has if you have a team that got the same record, it comes down to like division record or like conference records and things of that sort of head-to-head matchups. What you see where like logic comes in, and you don't see people like you don't see us NFL fans getting mad like, oh man, a commission caused us to miss the playoffs. It's like, no, the Saints don't make the playoffs. We're gonna look at that franchise. We're not gonna look at the NFL and the NFL commissioner. We're gonna look at that franchise. We're gonna be like Dennis Allen. Why y'all didn't win the games y'all need to win? You know what I'm saying? You're gonna look at that specific team, and I feel like that's how you fix all the politics in college football. You don't have a college football committee. I'm pretty sure you could keep them when it comes to the seeding and stuff like that, but as far as teams making the playoff, it should be based off of simple logic. If you win your conference, you in. Now, after you win your conference, based on your records, that's going to be how that's going to base how you're seeded in the college football playoff system. But all you got to do is just win your conference. I feel like that's the easiest thing that you could do, and less people will complain for the more proven that more people are going to be satisfied by this.
Well, my rebuttal to that is essentially we saying the same thing. We just phrasing it differently. In terms of the FBS playoffs, I mean, like I said, if you take care of your business, there's no need for politics or whatever the case may be. However, once you get beyond those certain conference champions that went undefeated and took care of their business and didn't have to worry about politics to get them in, the last teams that's kind of on the fringe, on the outside looking in, who really didn't quite make the cut, there's going to always be a complaint about, hey, this team should be in, whatever the case may be, so on and so forth. So
that's like my bad, but I just wanted to say that's the part that you're saying that I'm not understanding. It's like you're saying people gonna complain that they don't get in. It's
well, like, I mean, people gonna complain regardless. So, all right, just saying the FBS, like I said earlier, you can add 64 team playoff. The 65th and 66th team is still gonna complain. So the point I'm trying to make is, just say I'm Georgia and I go undefeated and I win the SEC. I take care of my business. There's no need to complain. However, if I'm an Alabama team,
look at Florida State. If Florida State wins today, they still might not make the college football playoffs because they playing with a freshman quarterback.
I mean, to me, that's ridiculous. Now,
that's what I'm saying. That's see how politics is involved.
But the point I'm trying to make is, even all right, just say we move it to a 16-team playoff. At that point, you still gonna have somebody that's gonna complain. Hey, I should have made the playoffs, whatever the case may be. So that's the point I'm trying to make.
Right, we agree on that. I'm saying it shouldn't be based on the number of teams, because like you can make it like you saying a 64 team playoff. The 65th person gonna complain.
That's what
I'm saying. It shouldn't be based on numbers. It should be based on strictly just conference. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, like I said, essentially, we saying the same thing. We just phrasing it differently.
Right. Well, what I'm trying to say is throw the numbers, like throw the how many teams in the playoff, throw that out the window. In the NFL, we don't be like, oh, we got an 18 playoff. Like, no, it's just the playoffs. Like, and the thing is like the FBS could just have 8 conferences where you just have an 8 conference playoff system. The FCS could mess around, the FBS could mess around and have like 100 conferences. We'll have 100 conference playoff system. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it should be based off a conference. I feel like we really saying the same thing like you were saying. We just phrasing it differently. Like I'm saying, we should throw the number out the window. It should just strictly be based on conference. I guess because
Well, like I said, when it comes to playoffs, I like a good even amount of teams. I mean, you have four. I think you should expand from 4 to 8, and
yeah,
just keep it pushing. If you don't make it in, it's your fault. If you took care of business during the course of the season, there's no complaining or belly aching, politicking, whatever the case may be. It is what it is.
right. But that's another this kind of conversation gonna be kind of longer. But the NFL, is completely different from college because like you got conferences that will never play each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you'll have teams from the Sun Belt conference that will never ever play a team in the SEC. You know what I'm saying? So it's like somebody in the Sun Belt could completely go undefeated. I believe it got one of those smaller schools like Liberty is 13-0 right now. You could obviously say they took care of business, but they not ranked at all. But like with the conference playoff system, they will make it because they won their conference today and it was 13-0. So they took care of their business. If like you understand what I'm saying with that.
Oh, I mean, I definitely agree. However, in your Liberty argument, if Liberty did schedule a team like Georgia, Alabama, and they were able to beat them, then you can't make a case for them not making the FBS playoffs. If they took care of enough of what they had to take care of in terms of a non-conference scheduling, then even though they won't have a argument. So the point I'm trying to make is, no matter how you slice it, somebody gonna complain. But like we said about the NFL, if the Saints don't make the playoffs, then guess what? The Saints blew games that they should have won, whether it's against the Bucks, the Falcons, whoever the case may be.
Right.
Okay, guys. Well, let's move on to the NFL, which is a even more heavier discussion, and the Saints. Guys, what are your thoughts? I see that Sean Payton they have been on a winning streak and the Saints have been on a losing streak. So, what are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Ray.
Well, as far as me, yeah, I've been noticing ever since what really Denver should have lost that game to the Bills, but the Bills are so stupid. They had 12 people on the field for the game losing kick that Will Lutz missed, but they had 12 people on the field, so they had to re-kick it, and he made the second one. But I'm happy Sean Payton and Russell Wilson doing their thing. I mean, I ain't gonna say I'm happy, but no, I ain't praying on somebody downfall. I rather pray that somebody succeed, and things like that. So I'm kind of, I'm happy to see Sean Payton, that moved on and doing this thing in Denver, But for us, the Saints, man, it's the same old stupid depression story every week. It's like, and I know I wanted Derek Carr, and I can't feel bad because guess who else wanted Derek Carr? All the rest of the Saints players in the locker room. A bunch of people wanted Derek Carr. It's like, bro, like they had Jameis all these years. They know what Jameis was, but obviously we didn't know what Derek Carr was. So you can't be like, oh man, like, look at some of the fans that wanted Derek Carr. The franchise, like Tyrann Mathieu, Cameron Jordan, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, all of them, they wanted Derek Carr. But now all of us, players in the locker room, fans, we all finding out why this dude got benched at the Raiders. You know what I'm saying? And you got to understand, people get to thinking maybe it's just the system. Maybe it's just a coach in Oakland. You know what I'm saying? I feel like low-key, Sean Payton would be using Derek Carr, or would probably Sean Payton would probably have Derek Carr playing better than what he's playing now. But this dude just sucks, bro. Like he's trash. And I'm in my fantasy league and I see somebody who's in my fantasy league pick up Derek Carr, and I literally like wrote a message to them. I'll be like, cut this dude, he's trash. Do not put him on your fantasy team. He's missing open receivers. Like whenever you go on YouTube and watch film study videos of Derek Carr, there's several videos of Derek Carr just missing Chris Olave and Shaheed on open routes. he takes entirely too long to read coverages and go through his reads and processes and stuff. And it's like, it's just aggravating, bro. Like, it's just, I can't stand to watch it. And it's to the point where people are saying in like social media posts, they rather Jameis Winston. We don't care if Jameis Winston throw 3 interceptions. He'll throw 3 touchdowns with it. Derek Carr will not throw any touchdowns. He actually threw an interception, a pick six with no touchdown. Threw for 300 yards, but no touchdown. It's like Jameis Winston, he gonna sling that mug in there. So it's like, bro, if I'm the Saints, tear his whole foundation down. Get rid of DA, Pete Carmichael, get rid of Derek Carr, get rid of some of even the veteran players, bro, and just start all over. And another team that I want to reference, look at the Houston Texans. They got a bunch of youngins out there, and they're balling like Tank Dell and CJ Stroud. And Houston got a defense. Like, I'm pretty sure, I feel like Houston could and probably should make the playoffs, bro. And it's like, look at what Houston did. They literally tore down everything and started from the ground up again. And it's like, it has paid off for Houston. So I feel like the Saints should follow the same thing. Like Coach said earlier when we was talking about the Heisman, JD5 is our guy. Sean Payton, he missed on Lamar Jackson. And I'm pretty sure he regrets that like years later. Well, not now since he with Denver, but later on when he was with the Saints and Drew Brees was dwindling down, I know he regrets not taking Lamar Jackson somehow. But man, the Saints need to get rid of DA because DA will not draft Jaden Daniels. Get you a head coach that you know will draft you a franchise quarterback. Draft Jaden Daniels. If you can't get Jaden Daniels, you got Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., you got Drake May. You got a good bit of quarterbacks in this year's draft. You know, you got some pretty good talented quarterbacks. So if I'm the Saints, I just say tear this whole operation down and start over.
Coach, what are your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, just to kind of rebut what Raymond said, I was never a fan of Derek Carr coming to New Orleans, but like he said, a lot of the Saints players, you know, they really didn't have any confidence in Jameis Winston, and they wanted Derek Carr also. A lot of like key, pivotal, and vital Saints players restructured their contract to create a cap space to get Derek Carr, which is, you know, baffling to me. You know, if we're just going to say, for example, like someone like Bo Nix. If he doesn't pan out in the NFL, you didn't know what he was going to be. However, someone like Derek Carr, you know, his older brother David, didn't pan out in the NFL. And Derek with the Las Vegas Raiders, he really didn't do anything. I mean, really, if you look at what he was with the Raiders, essentially he's the same thing now with the Saints. So I don't understand why Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland, Dennis Allen, why all of these, you know, supposed like great talent evaluators and these gurus actually thought that Derek Carr was going to come to New Orleans and be the savior for the Saints. And truthfully speaking, I would rather be Jameis Winston be the starting quarterback. But I was listening to WWL radio after last week's loss to the Falcons, and basically, like Bobby Abel was saying, Jameis Winston probably actually give you a better chance to win. However, the fact that you've invested so much money in Derek Carr, there's no way Dennis Allen and the Saints organization is going to start start Jameis Winston over Derek Carr because you've invested so much money in him. You know, essentially, unless he gets injured or hurt during the course of this season, he's going to be the starter for the rest of this year. And more than likely, he's going to be the starter all of next season. So basically, the rest of this year is a wash. And unless you draft a quarterback, like hopefully they draft Jaden Daniels. I mean, me personally, like Raymond was saying, I would get rid of Dennis Allen. I would get rid of Pete Carmichael. The guy I would bring in, I don't think the Saints organization would bring in Eric Bieniemy. I would try to make him my next head coach. I would draft Jaden Daniels. I would let all the overpriced veterans go, like Raymond said, kind of tear everything down and rebuild. And I would let Jaden Daniels sit all next year. And then the following year, I would part ways with Derek Carr, and I would let Jaden Daniels be my future, franchise quarterback. And hopefully he could be what Drew Brees was for the Saints. But right now, I hate to say it, as long as Derek Carr is healthy, they're going to stick with him. I don't see the Saints making the playoffs, even though the NFC South is probably, if not the worst, one of the worst divisions in the NFL. I don't see the Saints making the playoffs. I don't see them beating the Lions tomorrow. And truthfully speaking, even though it's a weak division, they really should win it, but I don't think they're going to win it. And, me wrapping everything up, shout out to my brother Jared O'Lovin Green. Shout out to the brother Billy Bob. Peace and blessings to y'all.
So let me ask this quick question, and we'll wrap it up. What will be your ideal quarterback? Let's start with you, Ray.
Exactly who we've been referring to, Jaden Daniels. Somebody who got wheels and somebody who could throw the. Trust me, I've been watching LSU all season. Jaden Daniels could put the ball on the money, and I'm so happy because I'm gonna give a little shout out to all the top 3 Heisman candidates. I knew this, but I never put it together. All the top, not even just the Heisman candidates. When you go look at like the top 5 quarterbacks in the NCAA right now for the FBS, all of them are 5th-year seniors. I didn't even realize that. So it goes to show you how important it is that some of these players stay in college and build up, just continue to develop themselves. But I don't want to get off a topic. But yeah, it's definitely JD5, Jaden Daniels. He got wheels, bro. And he throws those NFL type of passes. I don't know if you ever pay attention to quarterbacks sometimes. You have quarterbacks that will lead a receiver and put the ball on the money in the right place, that will put the ball in stride for the receiver to catch the ball and continue to run. Then you have some quarterbacks that put it right directly on a receiver where he has to catch the ball, but he has to stop and lose some of his momentum and stuff like that. In reference to Derek Carr, he does that a lot. You will see whenever he gets Shaheed the ball or Olave the ball, sometimes it's they have to catch it and then just fall down, or they have to have this crazy balance just to catch the ball. It's Derek Carr he rarely puts it on the money where they could catch it in stride and continue to run. He'll do it sometimes, but he don't do it a lot like you should, like how somebody like Drew Brees or Tom Brady would. But as far as JD5, I see him making those type of throws a lot. When he throws to Malik Neighbors, who is the best receiver in college football, he is better than Marvin Harrison Jr. The stats prove it. And LSU also has Brian Thomas Jr. as well, who should be drafted high in my beliefs as well too. But it's definitely Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix, I don't want to disrespect him or anything, but Oregon got a really explosive offense. He was throwing some good passes down the field yesterday, so that's why I gotta put Bo Nix on the spot too. But Bo Nix throws a lot of check down passes, and the reason why he has a lot of yards is because his receivers gets a lot of yak. But I would definitely say Jaden Daniels.
Okay, Coach, what are your thoughts? And just to um, give you some information on Jaden Daniels for Ray, he has 3,812 yards that he's thrown, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 95.6 is his QBR. So he has some pretty good stats. Coach, what are your thoughts?
Well, considering you can't put him in a time machine and bring Drew Brees back, since that's not a viable option, basically I agree with Raymond. I think making Jaden Daniels your heir apparent, I think that's basically the best the best plan of action because Derek Carr's not that guy. I think right now, currently, the way the Saints is constituted, I think Jameis Winston actually gives them a better chance to win. I know he's not a perfect quarterback, even though he won a Heisman. I think the issue with him is whenever you put him in a game and the Saints are playing from behind, he likes to force things the way he did against the Vikings. So he kind of reverts back to that Tampa Bay Buccaneers version of Jameis Winston. And the fact that, they've given Derek Carr all of this money to do nothing. Basically, they stuck with him. They have to stick with him the rest of the season unless he gets injured. And to me, the fact that the biggest indictment on Dennis Allen and the fact that he, for whatever reason, he had something against Jameis Winston, the fact that he started Andy Dalton the rest of the year last year over Winston, that kind of tells me how he views Jameis Winston. So to me, I would draft, first of all, at the end of the season, I think they should just part ways with Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael and just the entire Saints staff. They should start all over. All your overpriced veterans, they should let them walk. I think you should draft Jaden Daniels. Should let him sit all next year, and then the following year you should go with him as your franchise quarterback. That's the way I would handle the situation. But, only time will tell. I mean, to me, I'd rather just tear everything down and be a mediocre team that could get a high draft pick as opposed to a team that's in the playoff race, but not really a real legitimate contender. To me, I'd rather be at the bottom as opposed to in the middle of the pack and really have no real chance to win everything.
Okay. So guys, it's so much that we can talk about and keep covering, but with the Saints, we just really need to sit down. The front office just needs to sit down and focus on what changes they can make, that would help them become a contender, a Super Bowl contender. So I think they're not even thinking that far. I think they're only thinking about what's in the moment, what they want. So with that being said, any closing remarks, uh anything you would like to cover? Let's start with you, Ray.
Um, I don't closing remarks. Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversations today. As far as the Saints and the Pelicans and college football and just ESPN and stuff in that manner. So yeah, that's just my closing remarks. I enjoyed our conversation. Um, I guess like future topics that we could. No, wait. Yeah. Wait. So you said
Yeah,
what?
you can hit that too as well, Ray. Future topics that you look forward to us talking about as well.
I guess future topics I feel like we could cover as well, which I feel like it's starting to become more interesting this year, especially with the controversy is women's basketball. It has some controversy with Angel Reese. She just came back and she balled out the other night. I believe they play like Monday next week or some point next week. So like women's basketball, and, we got some real good boxing matches that's about to come up, December the 9th. I believe Ryan Garcia actually fights tonight as well too. And currently the UFC is on. So, women's basketball and definitely, we gotta, start talking about fighting again. But yeah, I really enjoyed our conversations today. And yeah, follow us on social media, Raymond Collins on Facebook, underscore King Ray with 2 Y's, followed by another underscore on Instagram. And I believe my YouTube channel is Ray Swank with a $. That's the S. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, Coach.
I echo a lot of Raymond's sentiments. It was an excellent conversation, excellent show. Both of y'all did a great job today. In terms of me on social media, catch me at Coach 67 Sports TV, on X, formerly known as Twitter, on TikTok, here on YouTube, also on Instagram. Also, stay tuned for my breakdown of Southern University players that made the All-SWAC team. And lastly, if you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel. Right now, I think I'm right at a little bit over 200 subscribers. So if you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel. The new goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers before Christmas. Appreciate the love and support everyone has shown. Y'all have a blessed and phenomenal evening and weekend. Catch y'all on the rebound, and peace and blessings.
Okay, and people, family, we thank you so much for your continuous support. And our closing quote today is: continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. And so, family, thank you. If you have any comments that you have for us, any uh, comments you want us to hear, and any topics you want us to get, please put it in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.